Hello again, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Game Pass Grab Bag, your weekly podcast reviewing games from the Game Pass collection, bringing you three unique perspectives and varying skill range. I am the drunkula of this episode, Andrew. With me, our Sparkle Vampire, Keith.
Hello.
And with us, our Fun Vampire. Instead of sucking blood, she just sucks the fun out of the room, Liz.
Hey, guys.
And this week, we played Redfall by Arkane Studios. Redfall is a first-person shooter, looter shooter, where you are playing one of four heroes with unique abilities. You discovered that you are trapped on this Massachusetts island called Redfall, where it has been overrun by vampires, and you have no way out, so you decide to take the fight to the vampires. But who wants to kick this off? Keith, why don't you do this? Was this a gamer pass for you?
So you remember, 3 weeks ago? Something like that. We did a Boy Talk episode.
Yep.
Everyone loves them. The forums are still talking about it. And we were like, no, Redfall is going to be amazing. Redfall is, who cares if I don't have a performance mode? I can't do 60 frames per second. There were points where I would have rather done 0 frames per second of Redfall. By the end of my time, I didn't hate it. It just, what a waste of a hype is all I have to say to Redfall. And it is a dang shame because Prey was also made by the same studio, and Prey is, I think, one of our highest rated games of all time.
Love Prey.
I think universally loved pretty much. And this kind of sucks. It just does. Or Redfall kind of sucks.
Yeah.
It's a pass. It's a pass. I'm just gonna go with a pass.
Yeah, this one specifically is done by Arkane Austin, the Austin studio. Which, Arkane Austin is the one who did Prey. Obviously, it's still being an Arkane studio. They obviously still helped with Dishonored, their other big game. But man, I'm with you. I'm gonna give it a pass as well. There's still fun to be had here. It's just, it's not a lot of fun. Keith's fully right. The hype was just it is such a letdown. I think if you give this game a little more time and they fix some of the bugs, because they are still going to work on this game. They already announced, you could buy a hero pass. They're coming out with 2 new heroes. So obviously this game is not just dead in the water. They're still going to be fixing things up and kind of doing stuff. But that being said, the core game concept and the missions are so painfully boring. So that doesn't change. But as far as the gunplay goes and playing with friends, there's still fun to be had here. But with the bugs that are just rampant right now, this is going to be a pass for me. But like I said, you can still have some fun with it.
Yeah, so I don't think I've ever done this. I've done personal pass before, but I'm going to give this a personal game. And what I mean by that is I was enjoying it enough that I wanted to play more, but I would never recommend it to somebody. The fact that you can shoot somebody dead center and it just doesn't work, or you go to stake a vampire and it doesn't work, and it's just oh, well, I guess I can't kill you. We'll get into it more later, but that's kind of unexcusable. I don't think I've ever encountered that with a game. I can't think of any game that I'm just sometimes your guns and stakes don't work. You just can't do it. So
if it wasn't for the bugs, it'd be a game for you?
Not really, because I think there's so much wrong with it that I still wouldn't recommend it. It is a game, but I'm just saying it's a personal game. I wouldn't recommend it to anybody because there's quite a bit off with this game. And my biggest gripe with this game is the reward system or lack of reward system. It does not, there's so many things that don't make sense about this. And also it's from Massachusetts, and these accents are buck wild. There's so many different things with this game that I'm just they did these little failures throughout it. Yeah. And I don't know how they weren't catching on as they went, but I feel this game did have so much potential, but I'm just playing it and I'm who's making these choices?
Which is wild. The pedigree from this studio, and they came out with this, I would never in 1,000 years say, if I looked at this game and be oh, this is an arcade game. Slightly the character models look like an arcade game, but everything else about it, I'm who made this?
And also, can we just, this is Massachusetts. Okay, You don't have to have a Boston accent, but if you can't do it, that's fine. You know what I mean? And I just think it's weird that my character's Southern, and I'm just like, I'm just listening to this Southern accent the whole time, and then they remind me that they're in Massachusetts, and I'm just like, okay, sure, why not? You can't tell me any of these people from Massachusetts. It's really weird. I don't know, but just like the little failures throughout it that I don't think it's a good game, but I enjoyed it.
Let's start off with the first big failure.
The story.
This irritated me the most. And this is the story. My God, this story is hot garbage.
So I have a question right off the bat.
Okay.
Because, I mean, we'll get more into the story, but I kind of forget why the vampires can go out in the sun. Because like, for me, there's humans you have to fight, and then there's also the vampires. So it's weird to me because you have all these different weapons that like they don't split it up, have like vampires at night, maybe a couple of humans, and like humans during the day. So for me, I'm like, what happened in this world that the vampires can be during the day?
The sun has an eclipse on it. So even though it's like slightly bright out, the sun has an eclipse on it. So
A permanent one?
yeah, that the main
time is like
bad,
stopped, right?
No, the time's not stopped, but the main bad vampire's name is Black Sun. Like she had the ability to blot out the sun.
I feel like it would have been better to have the vampires at night or in like dark houses and make it scarier that way, and have the humans during the day and maybe like a guard human at night. Because obviously, you know, there's going to be like the people trying to become a vampire. But I think that would have been way better because I'm not scared of a vampire floating in his like long skirt in the middle of the sky, just like blowing in the breeze, you know? Like it's just like it's not scary.
Yeah. So I want to start off from the beginning where this cutscene is. Which, by the way, the cutscenes, we're going to go on another tangent in that, but God, the cutscenes are awful. But anyway, so like you have this quick snippet of this another Southern woman talking about how she caused this catastrophe in Redfall, that she thought she was coming there to help humanity, but she was lied to, and the doctors took too much from her, and vampires came about. That's kind of the explanation. Now, I'm right at the end, and I still have no idea who this woman is. Like, they still don't give her a name. And at the very beginning of the cutscene is your character's trying to escape through a ferry, but the vampires stop the water and raise the water in the sky, which also isn't explained because none of the vampires are called like tidal wave. Like one's called Black Sun, they can block out the sun, but it's not like there's a vampire called tidal wave or something like that. It's just like, oh yeah, vampires can just
Blastoise.
I don't know.
And
yeah.
Why would they just have it stuck on this one town? Because they're going to run out of food.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like, I mean, there's only like you and a couple other people, and then you rescue civilians sometimes, but it's just like you're walking, there's nobody around. So for me, it's just like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, what are they going to live off of? And also, how are there all these magical, like they could take over a town like this, have all these magical powers. Why are they doing it now? Wouldn't they have taken over the world like centuries ago? Like, I don't get it.
Oh, no, trust me. The plot was crazy.
Small. You got to start small. Try it out with the town. Make sure things are going well. Yeah. If you can succeed there, maybe then go for the state country.
Have a meeting. It's domination for us.
See, what they don't understand, though, is simple is scary. Like, these, like, you know, silly-looking vampires and stuff, they're not scary.
I mean, you watched What We Do in the Shadows. Remember they had a discussion where their plan is to take over all of Manhattan, but they first started with their street and the neighboring street. You got to start small, you know?
No, but why not? If they had these powers, then it would have happened before. And, I mean, you're telling me nobody can get to Redfall?
Okay, well, this is the first big issue is, like, I don't understand the concept of time in this game. Like, from what I can figure out, all the 4 characters you play, they all just got their superpowers. And they don't explain it. The characters are very much kind of like, they act like they've had these powers forever, but when you kind of read their story, it seems like, oh, when the events were going on, they get, I don't know, blasted with psychic energy or something, and now they got magical powers. It doesn't make any sense. But your characters have these magical powers, and they make it seem like they've had them their entire lives, but apparently they didn't. And so the game first starts, you know, you're about to be eaten by vampires, and here comes the big bad vampire. She's like, oh, I'm not going to kill you. People want me to kill you, but I could use you. Spoiler alert, they never explain what she's using you for.
Oh, like, yeah, I forgot about her.
Yeah, they have this line in the game, and it just makes no sense.
Well, are you are the 4 characters the U's?
The youths.
Are they vampires or some sort of like what's the term? The ones that like they're not vampires, but they're basically servants to the vampire. They're like in between vampires.
Familiars?
Yeah, like are you like a familiar?
No, I just say you're psychic warriors of some
Because
sort.
I swear there was one point where I was just coming back to a section that I'd been killed by. I thought it was maybe the Bellwether people are the ones they fight the vampire, so maybe that's it. But I don't know, one of them said something about, this is much better than, everyone else, at least we get to shoot some vampires or something. So I didn't know if they were talking about me because they had just killed me and I was a vampire, but I don't know.
I could not tell you.
And maybe that's why you have powers.
And also, if these vampires are so powerful, why does a couple wooden stakes take them out? You know what I mean? You'd think that they'd have like this like energy field around them or something. And just like, if you kill them the traditional way, like, I mean, they're not really that strong.
No,
It's weird.
Some of them do.
My question is, the vampires are susceptible to UV lights, and you have a flashlight. Why don't you have a UV flashlight? Like, I don't get why you're walking around with a generic flashlight. Why would you just put a UV bulb in your flashlight? And there you go.
You're
Maybe
too
it needs
smart.
to be extra strong UV because you like hyper focus it, and it still takes a few seconds.
I know you get a UV gun, but it was just kind of something I'm thinking about. Like,
You could at least have a barrier, though. It would deter them from touching you. So if you put flashlights all around you when you went out and you had this like little
Barry
barrier.
and Alan Wake.
Yeah, like maybe if
Yeah,
you at least,
yeah.
blinded them for a half a second with your flashlight, like maybe it couldn't damage them, but it could just like blind them and like stun them for like a half a second or something. I think I skipped just about every cutscene, which not even being funny. I think I watched the first one and I went, I don't care.
The cutscenes are painfully boring.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know. I watched the first couple, but it's just nothing was worth my time. I didn't really care.
I mean, for me, what I thought was weird is they kind of had like how would you describe, like a slideshow kind of thing? Like, it's not animated. It's just like a picture.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm just like thinking about the price tag of this game, which I don't really like. We don't usually talk about the price tag. I mean, we used to at the beginning, but you're not having like the real cutscenes, the issues with the gameplay and stuff. I'm just like, where does the $70 worth of value come in? Because it's like even the cutscenes, which I mean graphically, I mean not to get ahead, but I do like the cutscenes. I do like the game. I like graphically, but for me, I'm just like, I mean, it just seems like another shortcut.
It definitely is. Because I actually saw another video. I didn't, at first, the cutscenes didn't bother me as much. But then when someone pointed out, when they're like, if you looked at all the advertisement for this game, like they had CGI trailers, fully animated, they looked gorgeous. And it's like, why did they do animated trailers that looked great? But then when it came to the game, you just get these slideshows. And they're really lazy slideshows. Like even at one point, you're doing a mission where it's like, oh, there's a secret film. You got to find this film and put it in projector at the movie theater. And it too is a slideshow. It's like, how is this a movie that you're supposed to be watching and it's supposed to be a slideshow? It's really poor choice. But literally every cutscene is your character talking around a table with the other survivors in the safe house you're at, which I have zero connection to any of these survivors. You get a quick, hi, I'm Joe, and I fix your guns. Hi, I'm Henry, and I'm a doctor. Like, that's it. Like, it's not like they're in the cutscene. They're not talking. You just see your character kind of interact with them. And it's just like, I don't care about any of these people.
I mean, I will say I didn't read a lot of the stuff I was picking up, so I couldn't really blame the game because I wasn't sure if it was... I mean, I read sometimes,
If
but...
the game is giving you storytelling by reading, like, that's not a good avenue to tell
No,
stories.
that's true.
And most of those pickups are so much crap. Like, what was it, last week we were talking about Homestead Arcana, and you know, Andrew, you're saying, you pick up Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo or whatever, and they went to work on a Wednesday, and that was what you read. Like, there was one of them about it was like a note from a band that was doing a tour, and they came to visit Redfall, but then a bunch of crazy stuff happened, so we're never coming back here again. Like, okay, why did I waste my time picking that thing up, going out of my way to pick it up because, ooh, shiny thing that I might want to collect? I read that and then went, why? It wasn't interesting. It wasn't funny. It didn't add value. it was a waste of time.
I also wanted to bring up that because I don't know what character. Oh, I know what character you picked, Andrew. But so the main character that I was playing, he has a southern accent, but he's like everything is like super serious.
You played Jacob the Sniper.
Yeah,
I played the same guy.
It was too much. He was way too dramatic, and for me, that's why I felt like it could have used some comic relief or spookiness.
That's why you should have played my character.
You said he was British?
Yeah, he's a cryptid hunter, so he's kind of like someone who would search for supernatural creatures. So he himself is kind of like a weird kind of conspiracy theorist, but he's like super bubbly and nice personality. And I picked him.
That's kind of like, I mean, I kind of wish I knew that. I went by abilities and what I thought I'd be good at. And also, like, with this game, you can't switch characters without starting them at level 1. Nope. And so it kind of deters you from wanting to switch characters. But it really killed the vibe of the game. And that's why I am so adamant of it. Like, they needed to either have it spookier, which, like I said before, like having the vampires at night, like you're going in these dark buildings with a flashlight. They could have made it scary. They didn't. They could have made it funny. They didn't. They could have had a character that kind of brought the comic relief, especially like Massachusetts, like have a funny Boston guy. You know what I mean? Do something. So that's why, like, I really do think that character choice is very, very important. And then I wanted to bring up too, like the grave locks. Is that what they are? The necklaces?
What?
Oh, grave locks.
Yeah, grave locks.
Oh, the story elements. Yeah, the grave
yeah,
locks.
they're really short and kind of boring. I like that, like when you had like an echo or a grave lock that you could actually leave the room and still hear it. I know some games don't do that, but I was just kind of like getting antsy, like, okay, let me you know.
The grave locks are essentially like audio logs that you're finding, but as Liz is saying, there's 100 you got to collect, and you're getting like a 2 to 3 sentence dialogue from this woman that you don't know who she is, and a lot of it, what she says, repeats, and it's very tedious. And then every once in a while, you'll find these other vampires called Sin Eaters. Essentially, the big bad vampires repress their memories in these vampires, and you kill them, and so you gotta get to see repressed memories. But those are just like, you're just seeing these ghostly figures talking, and so you don't have a face to these people. If you have subtitles on, you can see their name, but it's just like, there's such disconnect to me caring about anything. Like, the story was just so poorly executed, which is wild. Because both Prey and Dishonored had fantastic stories, great characters. Like, I felt motivated. Like, the world felt so alive in those games. And in this, it feels so flat. It's crazy. But let's get into the gameplay loops of what you're doing here in Redfall. Because, man, there's a lot to talk about this. So, as I said, this is a first-person looter-shooter. So you can pick one of 4 characters with unique abilities. You can play co-op with your friends, the 4 players. And essentially you are leveling up, killing bad guys, trying to find better guns. You can switch between 3. And you have your main hub safety house, which gives you your main missions. But every once in a while you're finding these safety houses, which will each give you 2 missions. So they're like these optional missions. They're quote-unquote optional, but you actually need to do them because you need to collect skulls. So they're not really optional. But as far as the missions go, oh boy, this I don't, like, not to sound mean, but I don't think these developers have ever played a video game in their life. These missions are so painfully boring.
See, this is why I'm surprised that this is the one that you're really going to focus on, because the missions were like, they weren't great, but I can think of so many gameplay elements that I got so irritated by more. So the fact that you're like getting in and you're like riled up already, I'm just like, they didn't bother me compared to the other stuff.
Oh my god!
So what missions specifically did you like?
All
really
of them.
All of them.
Every mission was just about the same. Like, this is what I imagined happened. You know, the developers had to go in. They had a big meeting today. All right, guys, we need to come up with mission gameplay. What are we going to do? One developer is running late because his toddler lost his keys. So he's searching his house. He's like, I got to find my keys. And then the developer went, you know what? This could be a fun gameplay element. We should do this. So unfortunately, he was the only one that brought ideas that day to the meeting. So every mission is like trying to find your keys that your toddler hid. You got to go to a location and search a house for an object. Like, that is 90% of the missions. Every once in a while, you have a mission to go kill somebody, but those are fewer. Most of the time, you're just searching for an object. And these are main missions, and they are so painfully boring. Go to this house. Oh, you need to find a key. Well, where's this key? There's no indicator at all. You just got to search this mansion for this random key. It's in a dead guy's lap. Oh, it's on top of a bureau. It's like the most boring gameplay element.
I also want to point out, too, that because when you're trying to find stuff, the beginning of this game, the tutorial, is so awful that I figured everything out by myself. And then eventually it was like, oh, you can use your map and ping things. I'm like, I figured that out 20 minutes ago. Thank you very much. And so that's why you're talking about like the indicator and stuff. Because like at the very beginning, I'm like, Andrew, where do I go? Am I supposed to be like looting? What about that building? Do I go straight? I'm like, this is the very beginning of the game. And I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
But this is what's dumb. You have to create the pings. You have to create the waypoints. Like, very rarely does this game actually have indicators as to where you need to go.
And if you accidentally select off the mission, I can figure out how to put the mission back on.
Yeah.
And so, for me, I would just wait until I went back to the mission table or whatever. But yeah, I just think that it was... At the very beginning of the game, I was just like, why am I having to do all this work? Why, like, figuring out, like, where to go and stuff?
Yeah. And, like, the mission stories, like I said, these are main missions you are doing, not side quests. Like, one of the very first one, a guy's like, hey, my mother died 5 years ago. Can you do me a favor and leave my dad's pocket watch on her grave for me? That'd be super helpful. Like, this is a main mission. So this town is being massacred and people are dying. And this guy's going, hey, stop what you're doing. And can you, like, put a pocket watch on my dead mom's grave? She died 5 years ago. Like, just, you know, for funsies. It'll be really nice. I appreciate it. It's like, why am I doing this mission?
So this might be a spoiler, but, I mean, there's so many little mini missions. But doesn't he go to the grave anyways and dies?
Well, it depends. Because if you steal the pocket watch like I did, he didn't go to the grave.
Why? How would you know if it was stolen or not?
I don't know.
That's dumb.
But it didn't happen to me. But yeah, you get it. And this isn't the only mission. There's a handful of times you're doing these tedious missions of, yeah, we don't know this person, but we're going to do, you know, a memorial for this person. And, you know, stop what you're doing and find a bunny for this girl that died a couple years ago. No one knew this girl, but... You know, we really feel like we need to do a memorial right now. Even though, like, thousands of children right now are dead in this town, we're going to stop what we're doing to create a memorial. And it's just, Why
did you steal the pocket watch? Not to go back, but you told me that looting is stupid in this game and not to bother with it. And then you just said that some dead guy's pocket watch, like, the only sentimental thing that, you know, you can put out there, and you're just like, I'm going to steal it.
I wanted to see it was an achievement. It wasn't. And it gave you a decent, what's called a blood remnant, which is kind of like a shield. So it gave me a decent one, so I was like, I'll take it.
But man, that's just another one of those elements of like, I don't know. Well, it's the only time it gives you that option, I guess. But don't add these like moral decisions with zero implication whatsoever. Yeah. Like maybe he becomes an enemy. Maybe that changes him. That's a kind of a cool gameplay element. No, it's just you steal it, you don't steal it. It doesn't really matter. But even within like the main missions, you didn't have to do all of them. They were still kind of side missions within the main mission table, weren't there?
You could choose like what different main mission you had to do, but no, in the end you had to do them all.
Oh, okay. Because
it just shows what order you did them.
Because I mean, I honestly agree with you. Otherwise, it like that's the type of mission that I'm like, that's a perfectly fine side mission.
Exactly.
Have some character, some NPC, have me run something somewhere like. That's the point of a side mission. It's supposed to be give you a reason to travel to an area that maybe they didn't put a main mission in, but they want you to see this area. You go there. There's a little reward. Cool. That's the type of mission I want to do. A side mission. I want to run across somebody in the main world. I want them to ask me to do that. I don't want that to be the main thing I have to do, and then to have to do that every single time. And you mentioned the natural pings, if you will. It was only when there would be like more than one point within a mission, I think. Like if it was like kill these 3 things, then it would mark them on a map for you. But other than that, you had to do your own ping system, which was kind of garbage. It was such a shame because I do think, like you asked Liz earlier, and I think for me personally that if the bugs were cleaned up in the gameplay, it would be so much more of a tolerable gameplay for me. I could handle the loop, but the amount of times where I'm just like, wait, is this broken? Am I missing something? Did I not pick this up? I just didn't know. We joked about it because that actually happened a couple times while we were playing, right? I was like, oh, I think this is broken. And you're like, oh no, you just have to do this. And it's such a shame that we were so hyped up for this and we were promised so much. Like, I'm fine with not getting everything we're promised. Sure. But oh boy, if I had paid money for this game, I would be saying I was fleeced. The only reason I'm not angry is because I have Game Pass and I can just go, okay, cool, not for me, and move on with my life. But to pay $70 for this game, man, that would hurt. That would hurt my feelings.
I think the craziest thing about this game is, so I actually put it on easy because, the middle one is at times too easy. Every once in a while, I died and stuff, but I didn't think it was crazy hard. Easy is just, obviously you don't want a child to play this, but it's for children. It's really, really bad. But the reason why,
child to play this,
when it comes
try.
to the price point, the AI in this game, the humans, I would shoot somebody. I actually got a clip of it. You shoot them, and the person right next to them doesn't care. They just stand there. There'll be 5 humans around, and then probably around the 3rd or 4th one, they're like, "Oh wait, question mark? What's going on?" And then they'll actually see you, and they'll point the gun and be like, "Oh, I'm gonna kill you," instead of shooting me. It's supposed to. They actually taunt me instead of actually shooting at me, and then. On the flip side of that, I saw somebody that said the opposite online, so maybe it's changed a bit, but I think it's interesting that the vampires though, they'll be 3 blocks away and I'll step out and they'll see me and I see them slowly coming towards me and stuff. So I just thought it was interesting that vampires they find me no matter what. Behind a tree, in a house, they know exactly where they get stuck on things, so I don't have to worry about it. But I wanted to go back where you were talking about with the missions, how you hated the missions so much. My least favorite thing about the missions wasn't even what I was doing. It's what I said at the beginning, which is the reward system. If I am doing a hard mission and I have to beat some type of boss, or if there's a vampire lair and I defeat that, I want to be rewarded with an amazing gun. I felt like going around, I was finding one level above what I was doing everywhere. And then I beat this crazy boss and stuff. And I'm not even excited about the gun.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm just I didn't really understand why they would do that to me. You know what I mean? 'Cause I felt like I was buying better guns at the armory than I was getting during these missions. And so for me, if a game is kind of, not doing well with the gameplay, it's have some really amazing guns that you can get along the way. I just felt like I was just getting the same.
Well, the designs of the gun are cool.
Are they though? They kind of are, but I don't know. So I think I can definitely see what you're saying, Liz, but I do feel a little bit of the one of the core elements of any looter shooter is that your reward guns are never typically the best guns. They're the coolest ones. They'll have some cool thing where it's a shotgun that shoots rockets, or something strange, or it looks really weird. It's good, but it's not great. And I'm fine. So I'm not worried about not getting the best guns, but I do think there's a lack in the rewards. I agree with you there. But there's not even really a good loot system in place. It has your standard, white, green, blue, purple, orange. Great. A toddler could come up with that at this point. It's copy paste. And you have, 4 gun styles? Maybe 2 within each.
Shotguns, rifles, stake launchers, UV beams. No, you have a decent amount.
I guess.
Because you have 3 different types of shotguns. You have 4 different types of machine guns.
I don't know. I don't think, and you said it yourself, Andrew, the loot you're picking up, you're looting is garbage. The only gameplay loop you are waiting for is about, quarter of the way into the game when you unlock these little mini bosses that spawn occasionally based on your performance in the game and guarantee you a legendary, and you play for those. And then the legendaries carry you just along the way. It's not interesting. If I want a good looter shooter, I want to go play a Borderlands game because, man, I want my billions of guns.
Yeah. Now, see, I disagree slightly with you, Keith, when you're saying like the best guns you get aren't mission rewards, which most of the time, yes. But even in Borderlands, it's usually optional missions. When you do an optional mission, every once in a while, they'll have a really good gun you can get from doing an actual mission.
I'm not saying never, and that's why I'm not even saying it's like an invalid argument. I'm just saying it's not usually, or like always, the best guns, at least.
Yeah. But in Liz's point, if you're doing a boss should give you a good gun.
At least 2 points
agreed.
above what you're doing.
Yeah.
Not like one or maybe the same like tier that you're at.
Yeah. But yeah, in this, the boss don't give you anything. Like when you kill a vampire god, they just give you like one of their boons, which are okay, but it's not that good of a reward. And I remember when we first started this off pretty early, you know, this is an open world, but man, there is zero reason to explore this open world. Like I remember we first started booting up, like me and my friends were going through these houses, we're like, oh, cracking open safes. Hey, cool, I found a green gun, you know, I found a blue gun. Like we were finding stuff and it was like, oh, it's fun and exciting. Quickly did I learn that there was no reason to be exploring houses and getting loot, because it's a cool idea of you like picking up toilet paper, gas masks, like things that you're bringing that would be useful to your like survivors in your safety hub. And so you're kind of given these like survival credits, and you use those survival credits. You can buy guns and ammo and health, but like there's very little to spend your money on. So you're accumulating these credits. Like I have like 78,000 credits, and I'm not even trying to loot. And it's like I don't have anything to spend it on. Like I don't care to buy the guns. I replenish my ammo. I spend.
But you
money
can
on
do that for free at safe houses. So
right? No, it costs a little bit, but not much.
Yeah, but it's cheaper there. So
Yeah.
it's like you're not really.
And so you quickly learn that it's just like, why am I looting? Because you're not looting, as Keith said, with the story. You don't want to collect those pieces of paper. Yeah, I got one where it was like, hey, we were on a field trip. Can we come to this facility? That literally was the note. And I'm like, why was this created? Like,
Wait, you told me at the beginning that the refilling at the safe houses was free. Was it just at the beginning? Or
yeah, it was
were
just
you
like the
mistaken?
first time when you do it, like when you first get the thing.
Okay.
But like it slowly increases in price, but it's usually like 1,000 credits.
Gotcha.
But like I said, I have like 78,000 credits, and I'm not even trying. So the loot system is so abysmal.
I wanted to go back for a second because
We'll allow it.
Thank you. Talking about the guns and stuff, I had said earlier how at one point my guns wouldn't work. Another point, my stakes wouldn't work, and including my like stake launcher. Like I couldn't kill a vampire, wouldn't allow me to. My left bumper, my special ability, also didn't work for probably at least like an hour and a half of my gameplay. So it kind of scans the area.
Yeah.
But I do want to say though, I think that while playing the game, when you die, I think that's very forgiving because
very forgiving,
that
yeah.
actually would help me to get my guns working again. Like if I died, usually my gun would start working. So, I mean, I would probably die anyways if there were like 5 vampires-ish, if it was like a big fight. And then I would die, be right there, and I'd be able to actually kill him again.
When you die,
I do like that you're referring to like a bug fixing itself as forgiving.
No, I said when you
the bug
die.
stop working when you die.
Well, I more meant like you don't like lose anything. You restart like right near like where you were if you're like in like the
You die
the
in
I
layers.
do agree with that. Yeah, for sure.
No,
I
I
just thought it was
did.
funny
I
how
did
you
word
put
it
those two
wrong.
together.
I also wanted to point out that it's so embarrassing that sometimes like you'll get these little tidbits that are supposed to help you. Usually like later, like you figure it out yourself, and then it tells you like, oh, you can do this, but you have to hold B to close it. I kept it up for so long. I remember like getting an image saved, and I was like showing Andrew, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's still up. And I'm like going downstairs and like getting rid of it. I was playing with it up the entire like, and it kept happening.
So to get a context, when people play this game, when you first pick up a gun, it gives you a tutorial of like how to shoot, how to reload, and it takes up about half your screen. Liz kept that on almost till all the way till she was at the firehouse, which is like a good solid 15 minutes of just it saying like how to play the game. And Liz is like aiming when it's taking up half the screen, and I'm just like watching her. I'm like, is she going to get rid of this Benito?
And most of the time I was playing, you weren't down there to tell me, like, hey, Liz, you can see more of the game if you get rid of that. But yeah, I accidentally kept leaving it up.
It's wild how unobservant you are sometimes. But I want to ask you guys, what do you guys at least think of the character abilities? Are you glad that they went with, like, hero classes?
When they worked, I liked the abilities. I definitely, like I said, voice acting alone, I wish that I had picked a different character. And your ability where you could teleport was so cool. And I love that your teammates can use it too. So, I mean, I didn't really play with you that much this week, but I wish I had done it more because it would have made it so much. Because you can just, like, there's this, like, red barrier throughout the town in some areas, and you can just use your ability over it, where I have to find a way around and climb over buildings and stuff. So I definitely don't think I had the coolest abilities. But yeah, I wish I had yours.
Yeah, I was kind of disappointed with the play of the sniper type of character. I hate sniping, but when it comes to looter shooters, I like them in PvE. Usually I can, feel a little better about my skills that way. So I thought it'd be fun to play him. I had the same character as you, Liz, but he was just kind of boring. Like the Raven didn't do much to add to your sniping ability. Usually, like that's the type of thing. It's like, oh, you can unlock extra damage, but it's not a lot. It's just, I don't know. I wanted your skill. Like Liz said, I just wanted the ability to teleport. I think that was just the one thing I was missing. I will say, I just ran through the red fog. If I wasn't clearing out the vampires, I don't know. I'll just pick up more med packs and I'll just run through it. There's none of the patches that were so big that they would kill me. So I was just, I don't care. And I certainly wasn't trying to loot through them either. So I just kept, if I couldn't kill them, I'd ran.
Well, you can kill the red patches?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
If you have a UV beam, there is like a mound of flesh-looking vampire that you can UV beam and turn into a rock and break them.
Oh, okay. I also wanted to point out that there is kind of a downside to the scanning ability that we had. And maybe this is just for me because I'm kind of blind. But I'd use it and I'd get the outline of, for instance, a vampire. But if you're in like a really big building, I couldn't tell. I couldn't actually see the vampire. I couldn't tell if he was in the room with me, the room next to me. And so sometimes I would shoot and be like, well, now I don't know. Is my gun working? Is he there? Is he not? No, you know what I mean? Like, so it's actually not helpful sometimes where like I wouldn't be able to tell where he was. And then same with like the gun. I'm like, well, maybe he is there and I shot him, but my gun's not working. So, I mean, I don't know.
But I want to ask you, though, with these character abilities, do you think they're interesting enough that you're like, I would replay this game to try a new character and see how it changes up the gameplay?
I don't think it's worth replaying this game. And I think it's actually really lame that they make it so that you start at level 1 with another character when you're in the middle of the game. Because I really would have loved to switch around, especially when like you're playing multiplayer. Like I could start with a new character all over again. But I wouldn't want to do that, especially because you were way ahead of me.
Yeah.
So I was definitely weakened. So yeah, even playing multiplayer, they didn't try to get you to switch.
Yeah, and this is what I think is crazy. So like, I feel like this game was kind of trying to copy a little bit of like Borderlands. Borderlands is a very good looter shooter. You have a couple different classes, but the gameplay changes quite drastically from each one that you're doing. But the thing is, what makes them change their gameplay so drastically is their skill tree. And the skill tree, at least from what I've seen with my character, is boring. All it is, when you're putting skill points in, all it's doing is like, your cooldown's faster. When you use your teleporter, it heals you a little bit. Your electrical rod that I have does a little more damage. It does a little more pulsing. Like, there's not, like, skill branches. Like in Borderlands, when you pick these different characters, you have these different trees in how you want to kind of play your character. Tanky, damage, sneaky, like kind of a way like that. It does not exist in Redfall. You're essentially just putting points in just really generic skills and upgrades. Nothing felt impactful. I never got a skill where I was like, whoa, this is opening up a ton of things. You could respec, but I had zero interest in respecing because it just didn't change the gameplay. And so, like, when I see you guys playing your character, like it's not like, oh, your Raven that scans people. Well, now it scans people, but also explodes, or you can teleport with the Raven. Like it doesn't change anything interesting.
No, actually, so it's funny you mentioned that, because this was actually a complaint that your brother mentioned. I think he saw it on video. I don't know, whatever. Either way, he mentioned it to me. Is that actually that's part of the problem of how bad the designs are. So the character Jake, he does have a skill that damages enemies with your Raven, but that's kind of a problem. If you're supposed to be a sneaky sniper and you throw in your Raven to like scan out the area, and then he does damage, and then it starts triggering them to the fact that you're there, well, now they're running around. Now you've lost your ability to sneak and snipe. It actually doesn't really work. They didn't really think through their skills. So it's kind of silly in a way when you think about it. But also the AI is so dumb that it does happen that way and it doesn't. Like Liz said, you could shoot one that's having a conversation with the other one, and the other one will still finish its sentence before they react to the fact that their friend just got shot in the head from they don't know where. So it's just such poor gameplay that added like all of those little things. Like I don't know if that's a bug or whatever you want to call it, but that coupled with the bugs, I mean, some of them are just outright laughable. I mean, my sniper reticle got stuck on, so I had a sniper reticle when I aimed down with a shotgun.
That was actually pretty cool.
It was kind of helpful, actually. I'm not gonna lie, that was maybe my favorite bug. But yeah, the amount of times I was just like, oh, I don't know, I didn't like the rook progress wasn't working properly, so I would just close the game and restart it. And like going back to what you were saying as far as the like ability to change characters, all it needed to do is, and I don't think there's any reason they couldn't have quote unquote stolen this from any other gameplay like this, where there's just a central point very, very early on in the game where you kind of meet all of the other characters. And that's like the hub where you can change your characters from, and you can start a new character from there. I don't even care if I have to do all of the main missions again. At that part, I don't care. Just don't make me do the whole storyline intro again. Make them feel linked and interconnected to the same world.
Yeah. It's
just, I don't know. It's just kind of crappy.
I feel like I'm like, it's still like a personal game, like I said, because I wanted to play this week. But I'm like, the more that I'm talking about it, I'm kind of embarrassed that I gave it a game.
I mean, I don't think I've heard you say a single good thing about it so far. Not just me and Andrew. I think you just like...
I mean, I was excited about this game, and I really did enjoy some parts of it. Like, the missions did not bother me. I didn't play as much as you did, though. But yeah, I'm just like thinking about all the bugs and stuff that I had. I'm just like, yeah, I mean,
I will say the least good fun thing about it is the co-op. Like, I think still... I feel like even a bad game with co-op, you know, at least it's still co-op. Like, it's still kind of something fun to play with friends. And besides character model in co-op, like dropping in and out when, like, the loading in the game is kind of wonky. Like, textures wouldn't properly load in, character models won't load in properly. That being said, it's still a decent time to play with your friends. Like,
okay.
And it's also forgiving. Like, at one point, Keith, you were pretty far away doing your own thing. I mean, it's not really like helping the team, because it's not like, hey guys, I found this thing that everyone gets in this area. But it was like at least forgiving that you didn't have to be close to each other. You can kind of do your own thing. And it was just kind of at least a decent time to play with each other.
I mean, I found a fast travel point, so I was somewhat helpful.
Oh, that's true. That unlocked for me. That's
yeah.
Funny.
So everyone got the fast travel point when I did that. But I will agree. Yeah, sure. The co-op aspect of it is what makes it probably the best. But at the same time, they just found a way to make that awful too.
That's true.
You either play a solo game or you play a hosted game. And it's still the same for your character that you play or host. But there's no open lobby. You can't just say, hey, I'm going to hop on. Andrew's going to be on in 20 minutes. He's got to get his kid to bed, or Keith's got to get his kid to bed, whatever. I'm going to just hop on and wait. And they'll get in. No, you have to stop, host the game, invite your friend. They can't even just join your lobby, I don't think. You have to invite them into your lobby. Everyone readies up. Then you go. And I'm fairly certain, because we had 4 of us playing at one point, is that if one person drops out, it screws the whole thing up. And if everybody but the host drops out, it screws it up for the host. It kicks the host out. So
Yeah.
it's like it's locked into the amount of slots it has in place when it starts the game, and if it can't fill them all, it's just like, I don't know, and it collapses. So it's not great, even though it's the best aspect of it.
And then another thing with the co-op is that it doesn't really save your progress.
Yeah.
So
it
I mean,
saves the hosts.
Yes, but you keep your guns and stuff, right?
Yeah, you keep your guns and your experience points. But yeah, if you this is so dumb. So Liz, like if you're starting a brand new game with friends, you're all level 1. Cool, let's all jump in together. Yeah, it only saves the host progress for the missions. So it's not like your friends are playing and you all beat the mission. Hey, you all get credit for it. No. Your friends, when they start their own game, will have to play that same mission again. And these are the same boring missions that I was complaining about. It's just like, it's
Is
so
that
simple.
why you didn't want to play with me this week?
No,
I'm just
no.
kidding.
Well, I felt bad because like I said, 90% of the missions is finding an object. And I at least remember where these objects were. So I could at least be like, here you go. Okay, cool. We're done with the mission. But I'm like, am I ruining the experience for you?
But now you know that you weren't. There was that doll mission where you have to find 3 dolls that I'm not observant. I didn't see that there was one outside of the giant mansion in the greenhouse. And I also had already been in the greenhouse. And I didn't see it. And so, like, for me, I'm looking everywhere. There's 3 floors. I thought, oh, each floor will have one. And then I also realized, oh, wait, maybe I could have turned on the electricity on, like, at the beginning. But I was just using my flashlight. And there are all these, like, cables, but they're going to different things that weren't, like, a box. So I was like, I don't know. So for me, I'm very unobservant. So it's nice when you did play with me.
Yeah.
I didn't have to find the stuff.
But also, too, with this co-op, or it's not even, I guess, with the co-op, but this game is an always online game, which I think they said they're going to try to fix, which is good because it's really dumb. If you're playing single player, you can't pause this game because it's like an always online game. It's always considered like as if you were playing with friends, even if you're not. So you could be looking at a menu, dealing with your loot, and a vampire can come up and kill you. That is really poor. Like, hopefully your kid's not having an issue because you could leave and your character dies.
Yeah,
wake
but at
up
least
from a
they tend
nap
to
and-
go back to a safe place generally.
Yeah.
But if you did a lot of work to get to where you are, and then you're like, oh, the kid woke up, now I have to go back to the safe house and redo the whole path again instead of just being able to pause or something.
Yeah.
That's when I feel like it would be not. I feel like the missions are never that long, at least where I am in the game.
No, yeah.
But I mean, if you're playing on a hard difficulty and it's taking you longer to get there.
Yeah, thank goodness they're not that long, and thank goodness the quote-unquote optional missions of the safe houses, there's only like 1 in each one. And it's like, oh, so luckily you're not doing a ton of really crappy filler. I will say the time to beat for this game, you're looking at about 12 hours. It's not a very long game, so that's also at least kind of a good thing as well. So luckily you got that going for you. I'm just really curious what happened to this game. I've been hearing theories, and I got to admit, I think it's the best theory of, I think Arkane knew this game was bad, and Microsoft knew this game was not like was just bad, and they just decided to cut their losses. Because I would say just to fix the bugs alone in this game would have took about another year to fix the graphics and all the bugs that are going on. But that still doesn't fix the poor gameplay. So I really feel like Microsoft and Arkane was just like, whatever.
Let's
this is
hype
what
it
we
up
got.
and
Let's
try to
at
get as
least-
much
yeah,
money.
Let's make at least some money, get it out, and be done with it. Because people are actually already reporting that Arkane's hiring for a new project. So so it's already kind of showing that they're like, yeah, we're done and starting a new game. But that being said, like I said, the game's not completely dead because they're coming out with new characters. So they are still going to work on it. But that's just my theory, is that they were just like, yeah, we're done with
But
this.
looking at the trailer, it did have so much potential.
Yeah.
And they really did have a cool idea going into it. So that's why it's kind of sad.
It is, especially from the studio. Like it's one thing to have like not a good game, but this is a bad game. Like it is just, it's rough.
I think that the bugs alone, like we have Game Pass, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
But I would have been if I bought this game, I would have been really mad.
Yeah.
Because it's laughable. Like it's actually a joke. Like shooting something and nothing happening. I really can't get over that. I know I brought it up a couple times, but like I said, I've never experienced that in a game where it's just like, oh, the gameplay does not work.
Yeah.
And you're releasing this, and then when did it come out? It came out
2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Oh, so obviously, they're they're probably trying to fix that, but I'm also just thinking about all, like, because I, obviously do Metacritic and stuff, like looking at people's complaints and stuff. It's just like, it's bad. People are genuinely mad.
Yeah.
At this game, so.
Yeah. Which I think is kind of understandable. But graphics.
I mean, we talked about the cutscenes, about how, like, maybe it shouldn't have been slideshow. I did like the vibe. I mean, it is a creepy game. I mean, the game isn't scary, but...
So all of us being from New England, did you get a New England vibe from this game?
No. There wasn't enough Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah. I do think that, like, the... That is very true.
Like if I can't stand outside of one Dunkin' Donuts and see another Dunkin' Donuts, it is not Massachusetts.
That is very, very true. Because I mean, maybe it's not like that in Western Mass, but like because I'm from Eastern Mass.
Is it Western Mass? Because I thought it was on an island.
No. What I'm saying is, like, if it was based in Western Mass, which, like you said, it isn't, because it's based on the water.
Yeah. I gotcha.
But because we're from Eastern Mass, we know that there's supposed to be 5,000 Dunkin' Donuts in every single town.
Yeah.
Like it's. I mean, it sounds like exaggeration, but I feel like in some places it might not be. Like it's
Google Maps, Dunkin' Donuts, just in Massachusetts, and you'll see we're not exaggerating.
Yeah, but I do think that, like, the coast, like I kind of feel like that. I mean, if you look at the coast where we're staying now versus Massachusetts, I think they did a pretty good job with, like, a Massachusetts vibe.
So there's two maps. The first one I felt like had a decent New England vibe. Not great.
I haven't gotten the second one.
But the second one, I think, did an awful job. The second one's like farmland. And it's like, what farmland is there?
They have very tiny, like, I don't know if I should call them, like, artisan farms, where it's mostly artisan stuff, and then orchards, like a little farm,
but not really by the beach.
No,
in the coast.
Well, so I was gonna say, like,
it's like 2 towns over.
Like, I know it's supposed to be like a little island town, but it's like all the houses are just spread apart. They don't make sense. Nothing about this would have told me that this was from New England, aside from, the occasional dropped R by the NPCs, because it's so terrible. And, like, Liz, I know you were talking about it earlier. It's one of those things that going to what you were saying again just a few minutes ago, we're from Massachusetts, and I think that's why we're a little bit more particular. Well, I'm from New Hampshire, but whatever, it's basically the same thing. Yeah. And it's like, we can analyze it and go, oh, that sounds terrible, and here's why. But I think if you're outside of the New England area and you're not as familiar with it, it's recognizable and you know what it is. But the amount of times that I was just chuckling to myself because I would just walk into a parking garage where there's just some NPCs talking, and you make a noise and they're like, hey,
we're gonna find ya.
I hear you over there. I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you wherever you are. And then I'm gonna order a nice Dunkies. Like, it was so funny and overplayed that I was cracking up at it. But I think it's passable otherwise.
I just don't get why.
Or it just wasn't necessary.
I mean, the thing is, though, there's different, like, dialects, though. Like, I mean, there's, like, Southie, Revere. Yeah. Like, it's very different. And I feel like they didn't nail any of them. Like, there's so many different, like, Boston accents. I don't know. And then what really I thought was lame is that, like I said, the character that I played was, like, Southern. I think I met one Southern person in my entire time that I lived in Massachusetts. And I lived in different towns, cities. I went to many different cities in Massachusetts. There's not a lot of Southern people there.
Yeah, because Northern people go down south. Southern people don't go up north.
Yeah.
They know better.
But yeah, I just think it's funny, too, because, like, my mom, she doesn't live in Boston, but she has, like, quite the Boston accent.
She's a Lynn accent.
Yeah, I guess.
Love it.
Yeah.
Pie.
But I have cousins in Revere, and, like, I know people who, like, grew up in Boston, and I just listening to it. That's why I just, like, they needed, like, one really good, just like one. I understand it's Massachusetts. Not everyone in Massachusetts has a Boston accent, but it just having one good one.
I mean, it just would have been better, I think, if they just didn't do it at all.
Probably.
opinion,
No,
'cause
I
thought
wanted
it
that
was goofy.
one funny Boston guy. That's what I wanted. One funny Boston guy to really lighten the mood, and they didn't.
I mean, it would have been nice to have any NPCs that is kind of that you're talking, interacting with.
I mean,
Yeah, well-
I think you nailed it, Andrew. I think the final boss should have been Fred the Donut Man, and I think that it could have just it could have solved everything. It's like we always talk about Jack Black, and also, maybe a Jack Black vampire god wouldn't have been the worst thing either, but that could probably be said for any game.
Jack Black doing a Boston accent as a vampire, because I think they
Jack
did
Black
turn
playing
people,
Fred the
right?
Donut Man.
Who's Fred the Donut Man?
Are you serious?
Are you kidding me, Liz?
No, I don't know who Fred the Donut Man is.
Google
What are you
Fred the
talking
Donut
about?
Man for
from
Liz right now,
Dunkin'
Andrew.
Donuts? When we were kids, Fred the Donut Man.
Listen, my
Time to make the donuts.
My parents, no joke, they go to Dunkin' Donuts every single day.
Yes.
My
You don't remember
dad
Fred the Donut
used
Man?
to go like 3 or 4 times a day, every single day. So I'm really embarrassed. Fred
I know,
the
you're
Donut
talking
guy.
about how much of
And-
a hardcore Dunkin' Donuts fan you are.
well, do you know what's really sad? Like, so there's like some really amazing donut places where we live right now, and I do not want an artisan donut. I do not care how like great this donut is. I only want my Dunkin' Donuts, like a chocolate frosted with sprinkles from Dunkin' Donuts.
So you need to call your mom tomorrow and be like, Mom, who is Fred the Donut Man? And she's going to go, are you really my daughter?
See, I'm looking at him, but I don't recognize him.
I remember even as
I'm
kids,
so
they had
disappointed.
Pogs. They had Pogs of Fred the Donut Man.
I don't remember if I had a pog of him or not, but I just remember. Yeah, when Fred the Donut Man died, that was like this. That was like a national, well, not national. That was like a Memorial Day in New England. It was a legitimately sad day. It was like the Queen dying in Massachusetts.
It's funny, but it's true. I remember it being like all over the news.
Yeah,
I really could go
that
for
or
some
the
dunks
old man
right
on the
now,
mountain
though.
falling off. Like it was like a big deal. Do you even know
Flags
who
were
Old Man on the
half-assed.
Mountain is, Liz?
I do, thank you.
Okay,
yes,
good.
I'm not. I didn't watch like one commercial, and you guys.
What commercial? He was
He
literally everywhere.
He was Ronald McDonald's of Dunkin' Donuts in the early 90s.
It's like, no, it's if Wendy's died of Wendy's. Like, he literally was the main person.
You mean Dave?
No, Wendy.
Wendy was
Well,
never
Dave
really-
Dave was the mascot, but I'm just saying, like, I actually forgot Dave was the mascot for Wendy's.
Because Dave was the owner.
Is he still alive?
I think Dave was Wendy's dad.
Yeah.
What
I
is
don't
this
know.
a fast food podcast now? Anyways, Fred the Donut Man's awesome. Look him up.
But
Was
yeah.
awesome.
But character models, like I said, actually looked like Arcane, which you were complaining about, Liz, because some of the character models, you're like, is this a guy or girl? Like, I don't know what this is. And some of them, too, I'm like, is that a child? Like, what is this?
Yeah, I couldn't tell anything, and looking up the voice actors and stuff, like I still didn't really know. Like
Yeah.
I not that it matters. I'm like I don't care if it's a guy or a girl, anyways. But it just like it's I don't know. The character models were just kind of weird.
Oh, did anyone, one of the vampires, to me, I swear, every time I saw him, you only see like 3 vampire skins, but one of them looked like Ashton Kutcher. And every time I saw him, did
I did
anyone
not
get
notice
that?
that.
I think I know the one you're talking about. I might
like
gotta
he's-
like go back and play to see if I can find him because I think I can picture it. But the fact that there was only like 4 models of vampires and there's like 10,000 vampires just don't even get me started on that.
Yeah, that was a little
Well,
annoying.
I also wanted to point out too that there's a pregnant woman in this game, and that is like the worst. Like whenever there's a horror movie or like a
Yeah,
horror
it's a
game
very-
and there's a pregnant woman,
Yeah.
I'm just like,
It's a shtick.
I would not. Can you imagine being pregnant and like there's no real doctors
I can't imagine
around?
being pregnant ever.
I'm just saying, like that would be a horrible situation. Giving birth is terrifying, and to then be like, oh, well, I mean, there's no hospital around here for you, so good luck with that. Just like, oh, no, thank you.
Oh, but another quick thing on audio. Our friend pointed out, and it blew both me and Keith's mind, the music that plays in the hub world is, I swear, the exact same song for the game Rogue Company. Like, as soon as our friend pointed that out, it was like, this is almost like beat by beat exactly the same song. It was nuts.
Yeah,
So-
I never would have caught it. It didn't even occur to me that it was familiar so much until he said it, and then I went, "Oh my goodness, that is
Yeah.
accurate."
But I mean, I will say at least overall this sounds fine. I think the voice acting's decent. Like my character, I went with Devinder. Him talking during the dialogues, I actually thought he was pretty good. So that's another thing you got to be careful with picking your character. As Liz said, she did not like their southern accent guy.
No, it was just the way that he talked. It's not that he had a southern accent. It was that he was so serious
You always say,
about
like, a
the
brood.
darkness.
See, I
it's
didn't
just
mind
like,
him.
No.
He reminded me of like a Matthew McConaughey type, like just very
Ma-
like, yeah,
all right.
yeah, but not like funny Matthew McConaughey, like serious Matthew McConaughey. What I hated about my character was Raven, who talked like this all the time. Raven. I get that it's like a
The
weird,
same
yeah, but that's what it.
catchphrases?
Liz, am I wrong? Is that the Raven?
I don't.
Did you not hear the
bird
Raven
talked?
talk ever? The Raven talked.
No, I remember him saying a bunch of catchphrases to the bird, like being sassy with the bird. It's like, well, you should be thank you. I'm not like getting.
Oh yeah,
irritated
he's such
with
a
him.
jerk to the bird. I didn't
Yeah,
like that.
but I don't remember the bird talking.
He
But I
calls
mean,
him
if
a
I was
shithead
the
all the
bird,
time.
I wouldn't talk to him. Are you being
Make yourself
serious?
useful, shithead.
Oh
It's
yeah,
pronounced
yeah.
Shathid.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
whenever he's
Shathid.
like that, it's like he's helping you. You're welcome.
Well,
That bird
I
should've-
think that's like part of like what Andrew was saying is that it's like these newfound abilities. So he's just like, oh, I don't like this bird, but whatever, help me.
See,
But
I would be afraid that it would like take my eyes out if I was rude to it. It's
I think
magical.
you already lost one. You got a magical eye. But yeah, the
Now I
bird
see why.
talks, and it is so horrible. It is. It's like cartoonish, and it sounds like a child trying to do a dying old granny voice.
Andrew, are you glad that there were no like vampire children hunting you?
Oh,
I know you hate when there's like evil children and
you see kind of young people dead. You'll actually see some corpses of some people that look pretty young. And I was kind of like,
I didn't
need
even
that
pay
in this game.
attention.
that's like shock value like crap that
Yeah.
I don't have any interest.
The
in.
game's bloody, but it's not really gory. I
You
will
see
say
like a
that.
stroller again. There's so many games where there's just like one stroller in the game just to like make you feel sad. The other game we played
Here comes
recently
the
had
sad
one.
stroller.
Yeah, it's like why?
It's so funny. I never notice any of that stuff. It's like the one thing I'm super unobservant about. It's like, oh yeah, cool.
Ever since I've had a kid, I've been more observant about it. It sucks.
What
talk
about the achievements, Andrew? Is there something that you like about this game?
No, the achievements is also very offensive. No, legitimately. Most of the gamer score is 17.
Yep.
Why 17? Are you kidding me?
The odd. Well, I mean, are you going to stop where you are now then? Because you're a 555 with 41 out of 66
I'm at
achievements.
555. No, because I think beating the boss is an even number. I'm right at the end.
Keith, 392 with 30. I'm in last again. I've been really stinking with achievements. I got 184 with 17 achievements.
But quite a the achievements are missable, so you gotta kind of pay attention to. Thank God
Because
there's
you don't
not
want to
like,
play it again.
Yeah, like luckily there's not an achievement to like find every note. I think there's an achievement to find every grave lock, which is the audio logs. There's 100 of them. That kind of stinks. But I will recommend if you're an achievement hunter, I do recommend my character Devinder because, like I said, he has a teleporter that he can throw, and he can throw it pretty far. And so there's a couple missions or achievements to be stealthy, and I found it really useful to just be able to huck my teleporter and quickly do the objective and get it done with, and like I can easily do it without raising alarms. But that's one thing that stinks. There's like a couple, if you get noticed, you can't just restart the mission because this is like a ongoing world. So even if I tried quitting my game, but it's still
Save's
like,
too good.
It's still saved saying I got caught. So like it was a one try, and it's like, oh, gotta start the game all over again if you want that achievement. That really sucks. I don't know if there's a mission select by the time I beat the game, but at least where I'm at now, you cannot mission select. So yeah, you'll have to start all over again. So yeah, the achievements I wouldn't recommend for achievement hunters, but you at least get some decent, like they feature pretty good with score. But like I said, if you're OCD and you want an even number score, do not play this game. Like I said, a lot of the achievements end in a 7. So
Is that going to knock points off for you in your final
a little
score?
bit. Yeah, and I think you're looking it up, Keith, and no, it's not something Arkane has done before. I looked at their
Prey
previous
was
games.
a bunch of 15s.
Yeah, 15s, but not 17s. I don't know why they did 17.
And
Like,
17 isn't like a big number in this game, is it?
no, I don't understand. I truly do not. I swear the developers.
Did you Google it?
I swear the developers at this point were just trying to be spiteful. They're like, well, this game sucks already. Let's make people even more pissed by screwing their gamer scores. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, it makes no sense. I don't get it.
I don't know. It's mind-boggling.
I was trying to find a reason.
This game in general is mind-boggling.
Deathloop had a bunch of 15s.
Yep. See, I looked it up already. I couldn't find any other Arkane game that had an odd number. All right, but let's get into our final thoughts here. I'll go first, I guess. As you've heard us say, and I'm sure you've heard from many other people, Redfall is just a hot mess. It is a hot mess. There's just so many choices that the developers made that just are mind-boggling. Like, I thought the last game we played, Homestead Arcana, I thought those developers made mind-boggling choices. But then here comes Redfall, and they make even more mind-boggling choices. Like, this is wild that we played these two types of games, like, in a row. There's just... I just don't get it. Like, the gameplay loop is really tedious. The mission designs are offensive. Like, I swear, the people have never played a game before that they thought the funnest missions they could come up with is you finding objects. Like, I don't get how no one at any point was like, we need to change this. To me, it felt like there were placeholders, and they're like, we'll come back to missions and fix it up. But then when they were like, oh, no, we just need to release this game, they're like, oh, crap, we never fixed those placeholders. Whatever. The gamers will just have to deal with it. It's weird. Besides the bugs, if the bugs get cleaned up, like I said, there's still some fun to be had with Redfall. You know, I still enjoyed my time playing co-op. The looting aspect is okay. The AI is pretty dumb, but I don't know. It's still at least a fun time to shoot and stab vampires. I'm like debating on my score of like, is this a higher or lower than Homestead Arcana? Honestly, I think I'm giving it a 55. I think I'm giving it like worse than Homestead Arcana because Homestead Arcana at least was a small studio. This was a AAA studio, and it's just, if they fixed the bugs, like I said, it would be better. But even Homestead Arcana was not this buggy. But yeah, go ahead, Keith.
Man, I don't even really get pumped for games usually, and I wasn't overly like, counting the days to Redfall. I was like, okay, cool. But it was something to look forward to. It seemed like it was going to be a fun idea, and I played a lot of it. I played a lot of it solo, and kind of like Liz was saying, there's some fun to even be had solo. Like, it's kind of just mindless fun is what I found. It's definitely best played with friends. And it has potential if the bugs are cleared up. But even if the bugs are cleared up, it's just a weak looter shooter. And it's kind of sad that this was supposed to be, the premier game or one of the premier games that Microsoft was going to hang on their hats of, like, this is one of our IPs. This is an exclusive to Xbox.
Yeah.
And, man, I am not contracted to defend Microsoft in any way, shape, or form, nor do I ever really care to, because I don't know, play what you want to play. But I've personally always thought we had a pretty good game selection. I'm a Microsoft guy, and no, I don't know. We don't. I love Game Pass, and there's so many good games, and that's why I don't care. But boy, oh boy, this is not something that's a console seller by any means. So they really kind of whiffed it on this one. I know you said you didn't beat the ending, Andrew. I don't know if you've read the ending. That's what I was just doing as you were talking, and that's why I had that really dumbfounded look on my face, because oh boy, is it stupid.
I heard it was stupid.
Wait, what's the ending? You have to tell me.
Boy, assuming that we will cut this.
Oh.
Don't give us Redfall 2. You can just cut back in from my you can just do a long beep. Just cut back to it. Oh boy, don't give us Redfall 2. But I gotta give this thing a score, don't I? Yeah, 50. Yeah, I'm just going to copy you. I think 55. I don't know. I just don't know. But I didn't like it. So that's what I'm going to go with.
Ooh, I know.
I like you're nervous. Is this like we're gonna like yell at you if you like do a different score?
Don't you give it praise, Liz. Don't do it.
I don't know what you're nervous about.
I was going to give it a 79.
Wow.
And
Okay.
I think
Wow.
the reason...
Liz, you're off the podcast.
The reason why is I think it's just like this style of game. Like, I just really enjoy it. And so I actually had more fun with it than I thought I would. Like, I mean, considering everything that happened, like, when we're talking about it, I'm like, wow, like, this game really is hot garbage. But it doesn't feel that hot of garbage when I'm playing it, because I love
like
this style of game.
Garbage.
I feel like there's so many games that we've played this year. Like, I feel like I've been a bit on the pickier side, and so like I feel like a game style that I really like that we play, I feel like I'm giving it more credit. But I did have fun with it. I don't know. And then looking at Metacritic for Series X, it's pretty bad. 56 and 3.2, and then one critic gave it 30, and they said, Redfall is a broken mess that serves as the worst kind of Xbox Series XS representation and a huge stain on Microsoft, Bethesda, and Arkane's reputation going forward.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're pretty brutal. All of them, critics. Usually it's like the user reviews that are pretty gnarly, but I feel like that one's harsh.
Yeah, I mean it is unfortunately true, because like Microsoft bought all these studios, and we're supposed to be getting all these great games, and we have just been given Redfall, and it's like, what?
When did Prey come out?
A while ago, I think like 2017.
Yeah.
Was that right?
Yeah.
Ooh.
But that's kind of crazy, because I mean that game compared to this one, I mean that came out 6 years ago, and
that's like one of your favorite games.
Yeah, and then like this is like 6 years later. It's like this comes out, and you're just like, oh.
Yeah, I do feel bad for all the people who worked hard on it, but it's just.
It's bad that I feel embarrassed about giving this a game. Like, I'm genuinely embarrassed that I'm like, yeah, I kind of liked it.
So I mean, this game was supposed to be on PlayStation up until Microsoft acquired Bethesda, right?
Yeah.
What the conspiracy theory here? What if a lot of the developers were like PlayStation people and they were pissed off, so they were just like, you know what? Screw this game. We're gonna take the crap out of it because we don't care now.
I mean, it's possible.
I said, I'm just stretch theory. It doesn't change anything about what they put out. But I'm going to use that as a way to feel less bad about crapping all over the game.
And then real quick, I did do a poll back in our Boy Talk episode of is Redfall only having 30 frames per second a deal breaker for you? 6 people said yes, and 16 people said no. I also should have added, well, what if the game's broken? Is that a deal breaker for you?
What if the game is hot garbo?
I just forgot that we were even recording. Like, I was just, because we've just been chatting, and I was just like, oh yeah, we're still doing the podcast.
I wish you were just taking your headset off and walked away. I'm like, good night, Keith.
Podcast, Liz. All right, so I think it's indicated we should wrap it up here. If you have any game suggestions, please email us at gamepassgrabbing@gmail.com or find us on our Facebook or Twitter at GBGBpod. I've been your hardcore gamer host, Andrew. You can find me on Xbox Live at Firebird01952.
I've been Keith, and I'm done talking this week.
Thanks.
And I am Liz the Noob, gamertag come on, I'm Dean, and I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Liz the Noob. Noob is EW.
All right, everyone. We hope your week doesn't suck as bad as this game.
Bye, guys.
Love you all. We'll see you again next week.
Bye.
Thank you.